Hi, friends.
Hi, friends.
Welcome to another episode of The Seed Pod, a podcast for kids and their grown-ups. The Seed Pod is a project from the Sycamore Seeds Learning Community teachers.
I'm Miss Lauren.
And I'm Miss Sam, and we're your hosts. It's Take a Stand Tuesday. Later on in the episode, we will honor Hispanic Heritage Month by learning about an amazing family who took a stand and made a difference in their community.
Today is Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. On this day in 1947, that's 78 years ago, an Air Force pilot named Captain Charles Yeager was the first human to fly faster than the speed of sound in an aircraft. If you didn't know, the speed of sound is 700 miles per hour. Reaching such an incredible speed required a special experimental aircraft designed just for this purpose. It had a rocket engine and extremely thin, strong wings to help it withstand dangerous aerodynamic forces. Captain Yeager named the aircraft Glamorous Glennis in honor of his wife.
If today is your birthday, happy birthday, friend. Even if it's not, we can send well wishes to a few famous friends who were born on this day. On October 14th, we wish a joyful trip around the sun to the late former president, Dwight D. Eisenhower, lead vocalist for the Chicks, Natalie Maines, fashion designer Ralph Lauren, and singer Usher.
It's time for Take a Stand Tuesday. Did you know September 15th to October 15th is Hispanic Heritage Month? Hispanic Heritage Month is celebrated to recognize the history, culture, and contributions of Hispanic people in the United States. Today we'll be celebrating Sylvia Mendez, a Mexican-American woman whose family fought against the segregation of schools. Sylvia's family attempted to enroll her in an all-white school in 1944. At that time, not everyone was allowed to attend schools together, and children were separated based on their ethnicity. Sylvia was told she couldn't attend a school for white children and was sent instead to a segregated school for Hispanic children. Her family knew this wasn't fair, and they filed a lawsuit, arguing that segregating children based on ethnicity was a violation of their civil rights. A judge ruled in favor of the Mendez family in 1946, and a year later, the governor signed a law ending school segregation in California. For students of color outside of California, school segregation would continue for another 8 years, until 1954. By that time, the governor of California was Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and wrote a unanimous decision declaring that separate educational facilities are inherently unequal. Sylvia continues to advocate for civil rights today, sharing her family's story and encouraging others to take advantage of educational opportunities. President Barack Obama awarded her the 2010 Presidential Medal of Freedom for her role in the struggle for Mexican-American civil rights.
Wow, Sylvia Mendez sounds so brave, and her family helped do some very important work for making education equitable in the United States. Now it's time for Story Corner. We'll pick up where we left off yesterday in The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Chapter 3. How Dorothy Saved the Scarecrow. Dorothy had only one other dress, which was hanging on a peg beside her bed. It had checks of white and blue. It was somewhat faded with many washings, yet it was still a pretty frock. So Dorothy went back into the house, washed herself carefully, dressed herself in the clean dress, and tied her pink sunbonnet on her head. She took a little basket and filled it with bread from the cupboard, laying a white cloth over the top. "Come along, Toto," she said. "We will go to the Emerald City and ask the Great Oz how to get back to Kansas again." There were several roads nearby, but it did not take her long to find the one paved with yellow bricks. Within a short time, she was walking briskly toward the Emerald City, her silver shoes tinkling merrily on the hard yellow road. When she had gone several miles, she thought she would stop to rest. She climbed to the top of the fence beside the road and sat down. There was a great cornfield beyond the fence, and not far away she saw a scarecrow placed high on a pole to keep the birds from the ripe corn. Dorothy leaned her chin upon her hand and gazed thoughtfully at the scarecrow. Its head was a small sack stuffed with straw, with eyes, nose, and mouth painted on for the face. An old pointed munchkin hat was perched on its head. The rest of the body was a blue suit of clothes, worn and faded, which had also been stuffed with straw. On the feet were some old boots with blue tops. The scarecrow was raised above the stalks of corn on a pole stuck up its back. While Dorothy was looking into the odd painted face of the scarecrow, she was surprised to see one of the eyes slowly wink at her. She thought she must have been mistaken at first, for none of the scarecrows in Kansas ever wink. Yet then the figure nodded its head to her in a friendly way. She climbed down from the fence and walked up to it, while Toto ran around the pole and barked. "Good day," said the scarecrow huskily. "Did you speak?" asked the girl in wonder. "Certainly," answered the scarecrow. "How do you do?" "I'm pretty well, thank you," replied Dorothy politely. "How do you do?" "I'm not feeling well," said the scarecrow with a smile, "for it is very difficult being perched up here night and day to scare away the crows." "Can't you get down?" asked Dorothy. "No, for this pole is stuck up my back. If you will please take away the pole, I shall be greatly thankful." Dorothy reached up both arms and lifted him off the pole, for, being stuffed with straw, he was quite light. "Thank you very much," said the scarecrow, while he had been set down on the ground. "I feel like a new man. But tell me, who are you, and where are you going?" "My name is Dorothy," said the girl, "and I am going to the Emerald City to ask the great Oz to send me back to Kansas." "Where is the Emerald City?" he asked. "And who is Oz?" "Why, don't you know?" she returned in surprise. "No, indeed. I don't know anything. You see, I am stuffed, so I have no brains at all," he answered sadly. "Oh," said Dorothy, "I am awfully sorry for you." "Do you think," he asked, "if I go to the Emerald City with you, that Oz would give me some brains?" "I cannot tell," she returned, "but you may come with me if you like. If Oz will not give you any brains, you will be no worse off than you are now." "Thank you," he answered gratefully. They walked back to the road. Dorothy helped him over the fence, and they started along the path of yellow brick for the Emerald City.
Chapter 4. The Rescue of the Tin Woodman. After a few hours, the road began to be rough. The walking grew so difficult that the scarecrow often stumbled over the yellow bricks, which were very uneven. Sometimes, indeed, they were broken or missing altogether, leaving holes that Toto jumped across and Dorothy walked around. As for the scarecrow, having no brains, he walked straight ahead and so stepped into the holes and fell at full length on the hard bricks. It never hurt him, however, and Dorothy would pick him up and set him upon his feet again, while he joined her in laughing merrily at his own mishap. Suddenly, they were startled to hear a deep groan nearby. "What was that?" Dorothy asked timidly. "I cannot imagine," replied the scarecrow, "but we can go and see." Just then, another groan reached their ears, and the sound seemed to come from behind them. They turned and had walked through the forest a few steps when Dorothy discovered something shining in a ray of sunshine that fell beneath the trees. She ran to the place and then stopped short, with a little cry of surprise. One of the big trees had been partly chopped through, and standing beside it, with an axe in his hands, was a man made entirely of tin. His head and arms and legs were jointed upon his body, but he stood perfectly still, as if he could not move at all. "Did you groan?" asked Dorothy. "Yes," answered the Tin Man, "I did. I've been groaning for more than a year, and no one has ever heard me before, or come to help me." "What can I do for you?" she inquired softly. "Get my oil can and oil my joints," he answered. "They are rusted so badly that I cannot move them at all. Dorothy found the oil can and asked anxiously, "Where are your joints?" "Oil my neck first," replied the Tin Woodman. So she did, while the Scarecrow moved the head gently from side to side. "Then oil the joints in my arms," he said. Dorothy oiled them, and the Scarecrow bent them carefully until they were quite free from rust and as good as new. Then they oiled his leg joints, and he was able to move about. "This is a great comfort," he said. "I've been holding that axe in the air ever since I rested, and I'm glad to be able to put it down at last. I might have stood there forever if you had not come along, so you have certainly saved my life. How did you happen to be here?" "We are on our way to the Emerald City to see the Great Oz," Dorothy answered. "Why do you wish to see Oz?" he asked. "I want him to send me back to Kansas, and the Scarecrow wants him to put a few brains into his head," she replied. The Tin Woodman appeared to think deeply for a moment. Then he said, "Do you suppose Oz could give me a heart?" "Why, I guess so," Dorothy answered. "It would be as easy as to give the Scarecrow brains." "True," the Tin Woodman said. "So if you will allow me to join you, I will also go to the Emerald City and ask Oz to help me." "Come along," said the Scarecrow heartily, and Dorothy added that she would be pleased to have his company. So the Tin Woodman shouldered his axe, and they all passed through the forest until they came to the road that was paved with yellow brick. The Tin Woodman had asked Dorothy to put the oil can in her basket. "For," he said, "if I should get caught in the rain and should rust again, I would need the oil can badly."
Chapter 5. The Cowardly Lion. "How long will it be," the child asked of the Tin Woodman, "before we are out of the forest?" "I cannot tell," was the answer, "for I have never been to the Emerald City, but my father went there once when I was a boy. He said it was a long journey through a dangerous country. Although nearer to the city where Oz dwells, the country is beautiful. But I am not afraid so long as I have my oil can, and nothing can hurt the Scarecrow. You have the mark of the Good Witch's kiss on your forehead, and that will protect you from harm." Just as he spoke, there came from the forest a terrible roar. The next moment, a great lion bounded into the road. With one blow of his paw, he sent the Scarecrow spinning over and over to the edge of the road, and then he struck at the Tin Woodman with his sharp claws, and the woodman fell over in the road and lay still. Little Toto, now that he had an enemy to face, ran barking toward the lion. The great beast had opened his mouth to bite the dog when Dorothy, fearing Toto would be killed, rushed forward and slapped the lion upon his nose as hard as he could. She cried out, "Don't you dare bite Toto! You ought to be ashamed of yourself, a big beast like you, trying to bite a poor little dog." "I didn't bite him," said the lion. He rubbed his nose with his paw where Dorothy had hit it. "No, but you tried to," she retorted. "You are nothing but a big coward." "I know it," said the lion, hanging his head in shame. "I've always known it." "But that isn't right. The king of beasts shouldn't be a coward," said the Scarecrow. "I know it," returned the lion, wiping a tear from his eye with the tip of his tail. "It is my great sorrow, and makes my life very unhappy. For whenever there is danger, my heart begins to beat fast." "Perhaps you have heart disease," said the Tin Woodman. "It may be," said the lion. "If you have," continued the Tin Woodman, "you ought to be glad, for it proves you have a heart. For my part, I have no heart, so I cannot have heart disease." "Perhaps," said the lion thoughtfully, "if I had no heart, I would not be a coward." "Have you brains?" asked the Scarecrow. "I suppose so. I've never looked to see," replied the lion. "I am going to the Great Oz to ask him to give me some," remarked the Scarecrow, "for my head is stuffed with straw." "And I am going to ask him to give me a heart," said the Woodman. "And I am going to ask him to send Toto and me back to Kansas," added Dorothy. "Do you think Oz could give me courage?" asked the Cowardly Lion. "Just as easily as he could give me brains," said the Scarecrow. "Or me a heart," said the Tin Woodman. "Or send me back to Kansas," said Dorothy. "Then, if you don't mind, I'll go with you," said the Lion, "for my life is simply unbearable without a bit of courage." "You will be very welcome," answered Dorothy, "for you will help to keep away the other wild beasts. It seems to me they must be more cowardly than you are if they allow you to scare them so easily." So once more the little company set off upon the journey, the Lion walking with stately strides at Dorothy's side.
Tune in tomorrow for more of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
We'll leave you today with another joke. What do you call a bear without any teeth?
I don't know.
A gummy bear!
Oh!
Thanks again for listening, friends. Tomorrow is Would You Rather Wednesday, and I know Miss Sam has some silly questions for you. So long!
So long!